Hey Jet fans, welcome back to another video on Jack Talks Jets. Today's episode is going to be about the three guys who I think are on their last chance to make the roster for the New York Jets heading into this 2025 NFL training camp throughout the next month from July 22nd through August 21st, I believe is the last day of training camp. But anyway, let's get right into the video. Hope you guys enjoy this one. If you guys are here, make sure to hit that like button. If you guys are new, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We just hit 300 subscribers. Again, can't thank you guys enough for reaching that milestone. That goal was set for a couple months ago, and we achieved it. We achieved it. So I just can't thank you guys enough. But yeah, let's get right into the video. So the first guy, I'm sure you guys saw all three of these guys in the thumbnail of the video. But the first guy I do want to talk about is Malachi Corley, wide receiver for the New York Jets, who had a very, very polarizing season last year, specifically from that play from the Houston Texans game where he dropped the ball in the end zone. That again, that's pure discipline issue, I think, especially as a rookie. I get he was a rookie, but you still got to be very disciplined, especially if you're an NFL player. So that is the reason why he became one of the most polarizing players on this Jets roster. But he's one of these guys that I believe will have to, earn a spot on the roster this season. I get we don't really have a lot of good receivers, but we still have to have a lot of depth at receiver. I mean, he still has a lot of competition for the wide receiver 4 spot behind Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, and Allen Lazard. He's got Tyler Johnson, Arian Smith, Xavier Gibson, Jamal Pritchett. He's got all of these guys who he has to compete for the arguable wide receiver 4 position here. And to be honest, if the Jets use Corley well enough, Corley really ups his game this season. He could end up being the wide receiver 3, maybe even the wide receiver 2 come November, December time, maybe even October time if he really, really ups his game. But again, this wide receiver 2 position can really change, like my friend Connor Long said on his live stream tonight, it could really change weekly, right? It's really up for grabs this much, where to the point where it can be a weekly job for someone. Like right now, I believe Josh Reynolds is going to head into week 1 as the wide receiver 2, but who knows? Maybe it could be Allen Lazard, maybe it can be Malachi Corley, maybe it can even be Arian Smith come September 7th time. We'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, if Corley plays to his potential, which I believe if the Jets just use him right, he is a true wide receiver 3, maybe even wide receiver 2 for this team. And the only reason how the Jets can use him well is, you got to use him in RPOs, bubbles, screens, and short and quick passes, Perfect example, although this play ended in disaster, it was looking to go for a touchdown. I believe it was maybe 30 yards. I'll have to double check, but something around that range. The Texans play, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, although, like I said, that play ended in disaster, it started off great for Malachi Corley because they used him to his strengths. They put him on a jet sweep there. I did not mention that actually in the list, but jet sweeps is another one of those things that Malachi Corley could be used for to be a good receiver for this New York Jets team. He had a great stride to the end zone. He just couldn't execute it. He dropped the ball in the end zone. That was an easy touchdown if Corley just didn't drop the ball in the end zone. So if the Jets just use him to what he's worth and to what his strengths are, just like Justin Fields, just like any player in the NFL, if any coach uses a player to their strengths, they will be a good player in the NFL. But like I said a couple minutes ago as well, he does need to work on his discipline, especially shown in that Texans play. That play, even head coach Aaron Glenn said it himself. He emphasized, that Corley will get his shot on the roster, yes, but again, that first requires his availability and maybe in the player's mind a bit of attitude. So I just quoted that there from Aaron Glenn. Maybe a little bit of attitude problems as well there for Malachi Corley. So if that's the truth, maybe Aaron Glenn does have to shape him up a bit. And if he does, then so be it. I mean, whatever can get this guy to be his true potential, then so be it. If Malachi Corley really has to be, reshaped in terms of his attitude and his discipline, then, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. If Aaron Glenn really wants to be this disciplinary head coach, then that's just what he's going to have to do. And if Malachi Corley likes it or not, that's exactly what he's going to have to receive from Aaron Glenn. So the next guy I really want to talk about is Xavier Gibson from like the past couple seasons, Xavier Gibson really has not been that great. I guess, he's really holding on to a thread from that 9/11 punt return touchdown against the Buffalo Bills, which is arguably the greatest moment in the past maybe 8 years of the New York Jets, maybe even since the Ryan Fitzpatrick era, arguably top 3 moment of all time in the past 10 years. And definitely top 10 moment Jets all time for sure. But, I feel like him and the Jets are hanging by a thread from that one play. I mean, aside that, what has he really shown you that shows you he can be a top receiver for this team? Maybe even not even for receiving, maybe even for special teams as well. I mean, what has he really showed you outside that punt return touchdown against Buffalo and maybe that little 40-yard punt return last season against New England? I really don't see anything, especially because he's been having a lot of drop issues, lately as well. I think he dropped a few, punts last season. I think against the Rams was a huge one he dropped. I'll have to double check that one, but I believe he dropped a huge one against the Rams, maybe even New England as well. But my good friend Connor Long did tweet today because he was at training camp. Shout out to Connor Long. Go subscribe to him on NY Flight Jets Talk. He is close to 2,000 subscribers. I'll pull up the tweet right here for you guys. It states, he stated that not Corley. Xavier Gipson dropped a ball that landed right in his arms, right in his chest. That's not a good sign, especially for your if you're returning as a third-year veteran, if you're known for your special teams abilities. And if you're really not great at receiving, and if they put you at special teams, you really have to use that to your advantage. And it doesn't seem like Xavier Gipson got off to a hot start today in training camp. So, I mean, this guy's really on the edge of his seat as well. So if Gipson doesn't really get his game together, I could see him being a cut candidate come before week one. I mean, I get again our receiver positions are not that great, and like I said, it's the same situation really with Malachi Corley. Has to fight for that depth spot, wide receiver 4 spot there for this team. You pull up his stats here for Xavier Gipson. I mean, it's not that great. Take a look at the receiving. 1 touchdown throughout his entire career so far. Thank goodness he has no fumbles on the offensive side of the ball. That's good. But you go over to returning here, only has again only returned 1 punt return touchdown, and that was in his very, very first game in the NFL. Rest of it's really not that impressive. Again, last season his long was 40 yards, and that was against the New England Patriots, like I mentioned. But overall, that wasn't really that impressive. He hasn't really had that impressive of a career so far. So I wouldn't be surprised if Xavier Gipson is a cut candidate come before week 1 time. Let's move on to the third and final player now on my list, and that is none other than veteran Allen Lazard, who has been on the rails over the past couple of years for the New York Jets. Had a horrendous 2023 season with the Jets. A lot of people blame it because he didn't have Aaron Rodgers, but when he did have Aaron Rodgers last season, didn't really have a great season as well. That in 2024 either. He even led the NFL with 6 drops, translating to a roughly 14% drop rate, which is a major liability in critical situations, right? Allen Lazard wasn't really able to come up in critical situations. I guess you could take a look back before. He was playing well, I would say decent before his chest and shoulder injury. The missed games disrupted him over the past, I believe he was out from October 31st to December 7th, I want to say. So, those missed games really disrupted his rhythm a lot. He never really recovered from his pre-injured form after returning in December. So I could definitely see where a lot of his downfall started to happen. Again, he wasn't the perfect wide receiver heading into the season anyway. Even though when he was playing decent, he still wasn't the perfect receiver. 6 touchdowns, though, way better than 1 touchdown. So at least you saw signs of improvement. You can only hope that he can only improve more from here. Really has to work on his hands. That's the biggest issue right now with Allen Lazard, in my opinion, at least. And I'm sure most Jet fans can agree with that. But Allen Lazard, again, he's a veteran. I think he's going to be wide receiver 3 behind Garrett Wilson and Josh Reynolds. So, I mean, if he can really be used as more of a blocking receiver, I guess you can put him in that conversation of staying with the Jets. But other than that, I really don't see a reason, a strong reason, other than maybe adding depth. Maybe not if Corley's not ready, Aaron Smith's not ready, Xavier Gipson's not ready. Maybe have him there just to be that receiver 3, just to be there. Other than that, though, I don't really see a reason why Lazard should be on this team heading into week 1. I mean, there are a lot of rumors that he will follow Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh, and if that's the case, so be it. I mean, Lazard's not a make-or-break guy for this team, so I really don't think it would matter, but I guess you could say that Lazard, like I said, did have a decent start to the season last year, but ultimately he did not have a good season at all. But anyways, quick video for you guys today. Just wanted to get my thoughts out on there for the 3 guys who I think are on their last chance to be a New York Jet heading into this 2025 NFL season. Again, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you are in here, this video, if you made it all the way to the end here, make sure to hit that like button. If you are new, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all next time. Peace out, Jet fans.